Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Callback Club. Here with me, we have Rohit. He's currently pursuing his master's. I'll just give you an introduction and then we can go from there.
Yeah,
Um,
go ahead.
this is Rohit. He's currently pursuing his master's in engineering management here at Northeastern. He has finished his supply chain co-op with Walmart as a buyer. He has a very interesting profile, uh, unlike many people that I've seen here, because mostly people who get into supply chain are either from mechanical, civil, sometimes electronics, but mostly never from computer science and IS. He has a bachelor's in computer science from India. So, hi Rohit, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Vinay. Thank you. Thanks for the brief introduction, though. So, yeah, you already gave a brief introduction. So, but I'll tell you why I got into supply chain, all of it. Like coming from a computer science background and how fascinating is supply chain and why did I end up here in supply chain, though. So, it's a pretty couple of things that fascinated when I was back in bachelor's. I took a supply chain subject, but I dropped it lately. I dropped it later and then took some other subjects. I really wanted to do it, but later when I started looking up for uh, some roles during my time after my graduation, uh, I started working as an HR intern in one of my companies that I knew earlier, but I started working there as an HR intern, and I somehow got into procurement and supply chain. Both that was not a big company or like organization which was structured. So I started working in supply chain as well as human resource norms. So there it was pretty much fascinating when I started negotiating with vendors and I when I started dealing with suppliers in day-to-day basis. You have a really interesting case scenarios every day. You get to deal with a lot of different things, and these are like every day is a new thing, and that's why I started like building some different key of interest towards supply chain, maybe. And I also worked on a couple of projects on that before coming here. So I just wanted to know get into supply chain. Like when I came here, I started learning more about the subject and more about how vague supply chain is, how different it is. So it is somewhat related to product, like supply chain and product go hand in hand, but it's more vague when you dive deeper into it. So yeah.
Yeah, that is kind of true because supply chain as in itself is it's vague. You can meet someone who's a planner, a buyer who's at the end of probably sales. Maybe that comes under supply chain too. And sometimes people who are in manufacturing are also looking into supply chain because they want to know if they have
Yeah.
all the raw materials. It's a gray area, but it's a fun area to kind of play around with.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. You are in supply chain as well, so you can say that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I totally agree with
yeah, and I was
100%.
I was curious about your HR operations experience from back in India. Once you graduated um, in computer science and then you sort of got into this. How was that like?
Yeah.
How was the experience like?
Yeah.
The shift,
Yeah.
the new skills.
Yeah. So I'll tell you why I did the role what I did as HR. Back in India, I had an offer from TCS before graduating from bachelor's, but I was in time preparing for my master's. I was not sure what to go ahead with, so I was holding back onto my TCS offer and also was looking to work around during that time before I come here, and I wanted to have some experience, like corporate level experience or dealing with business experience. So I it was an HR intern operation role. I was like, okay, sure. So let me give it a try. So let's see how it works. So it was a well-known company for me and my family. So I started there, and it was a pretty great experience, I would say. So I started like all of a sudden I got into this and I had an opportunity to discuss and have a thought with big minds, I would say. Like HR, like most probably the HRs are like people who have a great experience. They'll be having at least 10 to 15 years of experience, these talent acquisition people. And then there are a lot of things with you, HR norms and like and the government stuff. You have to study a lot related to, like, when you jump into HRs, it's like contracts, a lot of
Does that
basic
include
stuff,
also
not just the
labor
basic
laws?
stuff. Yeah, sorry.
Does that also include labor laws that you have to be aware of?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Labor laws. But yeah, I don't know pretty much about it because I came from computer science background. I wanted to like have an exposure to it, but and then I started learning more and more. So it was a lot. It was a lot to take though, but it was a great experience. So like there are a lot of now there are a lot of laws that you have to follow when you're like drafting a contract or when you're dealing with like when you're presenting us something related to your contract or presentations or whatever it is, or if you're like presenting for your manager or something. So yeah, it's with a lot of things. It was a pretty different experience, but I also had a supply chain experience in that role where I also like had couple of suppliers for safety gears. So we needed safety gears for like, so this company which I'm talking about, it generally is a service-based company. So they provide manpower resources for contractors like many companies like Himalaya, Toyota, and Wintac, Pepsi, like bunch of companies. They provide human resources for contract-based period, and so we had suppliers for like safety gears for these manpower services. So we had multiple suppliers for safety gears, and I had I was handling that particular factor in this business. They had around 6,000 plus employees. So it was a mid scale. I can't say it's a small scale service based company. It was a mid to large scale. So yeah, it was a great experience. I learned a lot from there, and then I started here.
Okay, that's nice. Because contract drafting, it is a legally binding document, so you have to be very careful with the words that you put in, and also it there are some I feel that when you read a contract, there are some things that are very obvious, and there are also some things that have to be read with between the lines. So um, if one is not very cautious about the things that they're putting or not completely aware of the terms and conditions, that could potentially work against them and like bite them in the back later if they're
Yeah.
not aware of what they're
That
signing up
that's
for.
gonna be, yeah, that's gonna be tricky. Contract drafting is really tricky because you have to go through every word and each and every sentence. So it's not easy, and like you go by like everybody goes through it, not just you. I just prepare it. Let's say I follow some steps and standard procedures or some. We do have like binder for that to draft the contract. Like our organization, they definitely have a standard set of procedures to bind contract for like different kind of thing. If it is for a service or if it is for our vendors or suppliers, they have different set of procedures that we follow. But after that comes like our advocate team. If it is like, let's say if it is a micromanaged company, they won't have an advocate team. But since it is almost like a mid-scale industry, they definitely will have an advocate team which goes through it after you draft it. And the draft, it comes like it will take like millions of times. So it will come back to you for every time if there is a correction, and it goes by it keeps juggling, and then you have to go to the, once you're done with the contract drafting, it has to go to your CO, and then it is like it's a lot of procedure, like, and then you present it to your like supplier or vendor, or if your service provider, and that's a different thing. That's whole different ball game because then we sit out on a conference and then we start talking, and if that is there, then there might be chances that it's gonna come back to you again. So it is a very time consuming process, and it takes a lot of time out of you. So you have to be very cautious, and you can't be making the same thing around. I did take a lot of time when I drafted first contract, but later I then got used to it. So you can't keep killing that time over there. So yeah, it is like that. So it's really tricky.
Yeah, yeah. And so when I was working in Adani, I was reporting to this person called Arvind Kumar Keshri. He was my boss there when I was working in the copper business. And it's big. I bring him up because you mentioned the legal aspect to it, how an advocate also comes in while drafting a contract. When we were drafting purchase orders, Arvind sir had experience from the legal perspective. Maybe he had worked with the legal team for a year or two. So he was very cautious about the things that went into a purchase order. Um, I would probably have my way of writing it with in compliance with the company that I was working for. But when I would run the PO through him, because he would be approving the PO, he would take the printouts and he would give me back with hundreds of corrections with red pen, saying that, Vinay, you don't draft it this way. This is wrong because this might imply something else. This should not imply that. You have to be very clear with what you're saying. And he would say that every document that you draft is essentially a story which should still make sense when you are not there in the organization. It should make sense by itself when somebody who does not have context to this document will read it, and they have to understand it exactly the same way you know it now, even maybe like 5 or 10 years down the line. So that was an interesting thing that he said.
Yeah, that's really true. Even though if you don't exist in the organization anymore, that PO has some value because when purchase order, if the purchase or let's say if you are since you are working as an intern, you'll be ending your internship in like 6 or 8 months, as such as me. So when you end, if the PO cycle is not ended, it's still an active PO, and the responsibility was yours to take care of it and make sure it is like genuinely right. The like 100% of PO should be right because the other person is going to be handling the next. Or like let's say if you want to retrieve your previous POs just to draw some connections or draw how was PO made, or like
Mhm.
what was the material that was used, or like we have a lot of things in PO, not just like materials, like quantity, what gauge, what standard procedure has been followed during this process. You have much like drawings that have been included. There will be different versions of drawings if it is related to manufacturing. So like you can't even make the different, like you can make the, any like mistakes in adding the version of drawing in a PO. Like if you add the older version and not the latest version, it's definitely going to be a problem for the COE, for the engineering team. So
Yeah,
even though you don't exist, that PO will make a lot of difference for later, and it's gonna cost the team, the organization, and the customer as well. So you can't. So
totally.
supply chain, like you can't have the margin of error is really less. You can't make that mistake that gonna cost like, but you can, which is in your hand until and unless you can make it right, until
Yeah, yeah.
and unless you can, yeah, get it back on track. Yeah, that's
Yeah. And do you feel the use of AI in contract drafting now? Because these contracts are sometimes they're on sheet and sometimes you just have the word file. So it's relatively easier for you to train a data set. Do you think an AI will be able to do a better job at reading between the lines and putting things exactly in place, which a person, I mean, if there's a probability of him or her missing it, do you think AI can do the right thing without doing much mistakes?
I definitely believe AI can help us to narrow down our contract drafting and making sure it is legitimate, and making sure like we can be there can be a very silly mistake sometimes that can all be gone at once using your AI and training your model or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, yeah, it definitely is gonna help you a lot. It's gonna scale down your time, narrow, like human hour is gonna be cut down, and that's gonna be more efficient. At the end of the day, again, it's the human or the person who's looking at it, who's drafting the contract, who's gonna be making sure the sensitive areas of the contract are particularly met. That like the most important thing of contract drafting.
Yeah, it can help us with drafting, but when it comes to sign off and probably reviewing, we'll have
Yeah,
to go through that again. Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, we can't rely 100% on technology because yeah, it definitely you can't like you'll have to keep an eye on it because you don't know how like because if there is a new case and if the model is trained, like it depends how the model was trained or something. If you go back to ML, since I come from computer science, if
Yeah,
you
yeah.
go back to ML and stuff, like
Yeah, yeah.
let's say just an example, if it doesn't have a test case of that scenario, it will say it is legit, and
Yeah.
you go through it, and then oh, let's say like now we say if you use ChatGPT and get a solution for some and like we agree, like we tend to believe and definitely it's gonna be right. It's can't be like for contract management and drafting POs and some stuff. You definitely can't rely on AI or model whatever you have trained or you don't know because you don't know the technical side of the model that have been trained. So
Yeah,
you definitely have
yeah,
to be yeah. That's not
that is true. That is true. Can't rely on it too much.
yeah
Yeah, it's interesting with all the experience that you had in India, right
yeah
after computer science, and then this was a switch, but then you were very comfortable with it. Clearly, you've done your thing there. And then when you came to US for your masters, and then you got a co-op in Walmart. Anyways, congratulations on that, and you finished it. And
thank you
yeah, guys, Rohit will be graduating this month.
yeah. I'll be graduating this month. Looking for full-time opportunity maybe yeah.
Yeah, that's
Anyhow,
congratulations for that.
thank you.
And
Thank you.
so when you did get into your co-op in Walmart, how was that like? How was the process of
So yeah,
applying?
when
Because
I
did you feel that disadvantage with the computer science degree while applying?
oh, I wouldn't say I felt disadvantages or I didn't had an upper hand or something. I wouldn't say that because when I came here, my degree, engineering management MEM focuses mostly of supply chain and product based and project side of the business. So the courses I took in my master's degree are related to are like closely aligned with supply chain and product. So I had an idea and I was working on supply chain related knowledge already since I came here. And I was always sure that I want to go to the supply chain background or supply chain related work field. So I was already sure I had made up my mind. So it was not a big thing or like it was not a challenging task for me to get into Valmet. But yeah, Valmet was a really great opportunity to learn and like explore the knowledge and like explore like the work culture and how the supply chain organization, the work structure of supply chain organization or like the MNC manufacturing company works in United States or apart from like India, how the global exposure is. That is a great turnaround for me, which I believe one of the amazing experience. Valmet that gave me. It was tremendous. Yeah, I would definitely go back to Valmet any day. I'm still in talks with them though.
So what exactly does Walmart do?
So Valmet is they have different business lines. One is flow control business line, and so I was in flow control business line. So Valmet's flow control business line is concerned with manufacturing of different stuff like balls, valves. If you remember, I had told you previously, like if you know the tanks, big tanks that are used for transporting oil or whatever the stuff it is, like any products, liquid products from one point to other point, they are concerned with valves and pumps, right? So Valmet in North America, Valmet's tank and Valmet's valves are present in one out of three tanks.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
so one out of three. They are one of the biggest manufacturers and producers of the valves and tanks and the pipes. They work with the chemical industries, food industries, paper industry. They're concerned with a lot of chemical industries. They provide service with and maintenance for all these. So yeah, that's pretty much it. They do. They are based in India, China, I think Helsinki, Canada, US. Yeah, they are based in Europe. Yeah, Finland,
that's
Brazil as well. Yeah,
mhm.
they have about 19,000 employees. They're pretty huge company. Yeah, that is like yeah, they're amazing. They have a great opportunities for people looking into supply chain and procurement and manufacturing as well. Manufacturing and engineering designs. It's a great place to end up, and they treat their employees really well, like amazing, amazing treatment. Yeah,
Yeah, seems like you had a great time
yeah,
at Walmart.
definitely. Yeah. Thanks to my manager, my supervisor. Like I enjoyed it. Yeah.
That's nice. That's nice. So, your role at Walmart, um, could you just run through how would a normal day in your life at Walmart look like? Your
So
role
I
and
start.
what would you do?
So I was a supply chain buyer intern for Valmet. So my basically my everyday looks like starting with the ERPs, starting with purchase orders, tracking, getting back to your suppliers, vendors, looking back at your SNOPs, which are very important part of your day, action items, bunch of forecasting details for record keeping, many of things. But I used to start with like I used to get back to my suppliers or vendors if they had any questions with the POs or any if there were any action items or any tracking related stuff. And we I used to take care of subcontracting most probably. So subcontracting is like consider we manufacturing balls and valves. So if we are not doing coating or some stuff on that, we send out that for our subcontractors, so our suppliers. So these subcontracting orders, they accumulate every day based on our manufacturing orders. They come back and sit in racks. I go on shop floor, I collect them and work on that, and then I release purchase orders. These purchase orders are generated based on the manufacturing orders and out of customer orders. But later, I used to process them. I used to see what is with this order and then like lend it out to suppliers and then later look into our action items that are being accumulating and looking into our tracking systems based on what are our purchasing orders. Like let's say I release about 25 to 30 orders each day just for my sake, and then like there are like multiple buyers in purchasing team for procurement. So I used to take care of the action items and then release our standard items. Like let's say the purchasing team's standard, there'll be list of items that you release every day that you place order for because they if they go below the safety stock, the order comes and sits because it is the planning team does all the work and then it definitely comes and sits on top of you and then you work on those orders and then yeah, that's pretty much it. And if there are SNOPs, you take the SNOPs are really important sales and operation orders. So that has to be dealt with concern and care. That has to be pushed really hard so that if not, it's gonna be running late on your customer or your sales team. You are the back end of the team. The sales team will be on top of you, looking up to you, looking up to your whole procurement team, saying that if you haven't got this order, like this is the consequences that we're gonna handle. Like they're gonna be on top of you. So these and all you'll be taking care of. Yeah,
Yeah, the word supply chain itself, I think it's very right because it's literally a chain. One link is off and the whole thing is down.
yeah.
It's
So
so interlinked. Yeah. That's interesting. And again, there's a lot of data that's moving around in Walmart, right? Now because you're the buyer, you'll be using an ERP system to generate POs, and maybe through the same ERP system, maybe there's another uh, other stakeholder in another department from Walmart who's probably looking into the stock levels as you just mentioned. Uh, so how was the data side of Walmart like from an ERP perspective? How was it handled? What was the platform?
so in Valmet they have a couple of software ERPs. Basically, the major ERP that Valmet uses is Infor M3, that is the front end of the rapid response Kinaxis. I think you might have heard about Kinaxis, one of the like top five most ERPs that are running right now. Like Kinaxis is one among them. So Kinaxis is the major ERP that is integrated with most of the tools, whatever it is. So there is huge chunk of data that we deal with, like the orders that to retrieve any part of the order, it takes, I think every supply chain employee complains about it because the huge chunk of data. If you load any purchase order, if you want to track any order, you go with purchase order. It takes like 5 minutes just to surf it and like browse the order details or some tracking details or what is up with tracking, what is up with freight details, what's up with like when is it scheduled or something. So to simplify it, we have the front end of it, like the data is loaded from Kinas Rapid Response to the Infer M3. So that is again another ERP that is integrated with rapid response data. So rapid response keeps like for all the multiple plans like that are spread out among the world, like the different parts of Europe, India, China, and US. It holds all the data, and then we load it like in one of our sibling company that is which is located in Helsinki. They had Oracle NetSuite. So lately they started migrating from NetSuite to Kinaxis because NetSuite is really expensive, and also it is comprehensive, really comprehensive, and very complex structure. So even this is the same, but this is a budget friendly when it is also like different companies are working on one software, and if your sibling company has different ERP to reconciliate all the inventory, it's going to be a really headache. You will have to maintain all the multiple ERPs then. So we used to have Oracle NetSuite until like couple of months back. So the other sibling company they migrated now. So I think it's all rapid response Kinaxis, and Oracle NetSuite is all gone now, most probably. And they have a bunch of other software like other tools like Badgeware for invoicing, invoice tracking, and then like Microsoft Dynamics 365. It supports like Power Platforms. So we use that for claim system. Like that is also again integrated with the Kinaxis data, because that is the major source of data that we are like, that is the back end of everything. So Power Platforms, claim system, like whatever the order which is refunded, or like if you have to reorder, or if there is any damage in the order, it goes to the claim system. We started a claim system that is supported by again Microsoft 3 Dynamics, that is Power Platforms. We use claim system, Microsoft claim system management. So yeah, that is all about the ERP that we used to do. Uh, what else? Yeah, that is much about ERPs that Valmet uses, Kinaxis, Oracle, and for Basware. Basware is not an ERP; it's a platform though, like Power Apps.
Because I'm curious now, you did mention a lot of ERP names and you told that they are being integrated. Because with my experience where I come from, there was just one platform. It was SAP, and if
Okay.
let's say if any sort of for floating RFQs, RFPs, and if there is any sort of auction that needed to happen, we had SAP Ariba, which again was SAP. So all of our data was essentially consolidated onto one platform. So data retrieval was relatively easier. SAP, no matter how unaesthetic that thing is, it is one of the best ERP systems there is, and the kind of modules that they come up with, um, it's very efficient. The transparency that they get in is just beautiful. Now again, when somebody goes with a product like SAP, I think there is huge initial investment that has to go in. Not just buying SAP, you have to also have to alter it to the way that you are using it on a day-to-day basis. So I see the advantages of SAP, but I think the only downside to it would be the expense that we incur because of
Yeah.
SAP. Um,
Yeah.
do you think in Walmart, let's say you're like the CEO of Walmart, would
I
you
wish. Yeah.
consolidate all of these platforms or bring all of them into one platform, or would you say that the way it's running now, it's good?
I would say there is a scope for like enhancement and development or something, but I would rather prefer bringing in-house ERP system or developing an ERP for in-house, like Tesla did. Like Tesla also used to use SAP, and I think back until maybe 2010, or in between 2010 or 2015, I think so. Until then, they were using SAP, and then they built their own ERP, in-house ERP, that I think it's called WRAP.
Okay, okay.
WARP. They have their in-house WAP software, which is also integrated with bunch of other platforms as well. They also have SAP for integration. That's amazing. So that is like very robust, like amazing. The kind of speed is unmatched for SAP or Rapid Response or Microsoft, like it's not compared anywhere. It's not close. It is amazing. So I would definitely push for that. But yeah, bringing all together at one place would be a great thing to do. Yeah, like nowadays software solutions, they provide an opportunity for you to like Oracle, it provides like inventory, supply chain, planning, everything at one place, but it's hell lot expensive at the end of the day.
Yeah,
It's gonna be costing a hefty amount for organizations like this, since they are like located in multiple regions. It's not gonna be easy. So, and then since they are work like running on cloud-based structures, again, it's gonna be a huge, huge task. So bring it at one place, like, but what Kinaxis is almost like ranked fourth or fifth, I think. They're doing a great job. They're migrating towards AI support now. They're calling, before it was called Kinaxis Rapid Response. Now they have almost changed it to Maestro, I guess. Kinaxis Maestro, because they're like almost now powered by AI. I think so. Like they have, just like Claude, they're improving. They're doing great thing. I think they're gonna be great in future, maybe in couple of years down the line. They're gonna have great things around. I think, yeah, that's what we should be looking at, and it's gonna be helping a lot for the supply chain and planning or inventory management, when it's gonna be a huge time saving. The only thing that we have, the constraint is timing in supply chain. Rest and all is no big deal. The timing is the real constraint for people who are dealing with supply chain and stuff. So yeah,
time is money, money is time. Yeah.
yeah.
And the ERP systems that you mentioned, I'm just trying to understand how it worked at Walmart. You did use
Hmm.
a couple of them. There was Rapid Response, there was Kinaxis, I think it was Kinaxis Rapid Response and M3. How was the flow like?
Yeah.
Like from inception? How would the data flow, or how would you access the data, wherever you would want it from?
So I would most probably use access it from M3 for order processing. But if you want to make changes to the order, you can either make changes in M3, or like you can alter anything, or make changes to PO or freight terms. Right? Maybe like sometimes you have to make freight changes in freight terms. Like, let's say if order is running out of time, if you have to ship it from ocean, like shipment to air freight mode. So
Mhm.
then I can either make changes in M3 or in backend of rapid response. But when you go to rapid response, it's take lot of time, but it also makes changes in M3. Like it takes some time to kick in. So when you load data we basically load data to rapid response. So that's the backend. From there, it migrates to M3. So it comes and sits on M3. So you can do either, but I would rather prefer, because of the interface is very easy, but in rapid response, like the bunch of modules you have is like crazy. Like even though if you start using the filters, like there are a lot of tricks in rapid response and ERP, the other ERP softwares like SAP, to like access the data much faster, but still like that faster, you like any faster you use, the the user interface is very like keenly like chaotic. It's really chaotic. There are a bunch of data that's gonna be you surfing through. You just open a panel, you're just opening a different module, and there are a lot of things you like just to get used to this ERP side. It took some time, and it's not gonna be easy all of a sudden to like have a. That's why I think a lot of times these companies prefer you having an experience with ERPs. Now I understand why, because it definitely
Yeah,
takes some time. I mean, even the
yeah,
best of
true.
the best, yeah, even the best of the best, even the managers sometimes they're stuck. They don't know. They're like, just forget it. Like, let's give
Yeah,
it some time. It's not gonna work. Even though you have a lot of tricks, the tips and tricks to crack it down, bring it in half, and then make sure you use make sure the best management of time, or like whatever the filters you use, sometimes it doesn't.
yeah. And I was just
So
curious
that's
based
the
on all
issue
of
with
this.
ERPs.
Yeah, I was just curious about what you just mentioned. You mentioned that you have, or sometimes you do change the freight mode in these POs, right? So once a PO is signed off, let's say it's already given to the vendor. it changes later also? Like online it changes?
Oh yes, because see the PO that like if it is a manually generated PO and if it is like organizations are really small.
Mhm.
If it is a small scale business organization, the POs that is sent that has to, you have to deal with the supplier again. You have to like obviously here also I have to talk to the supplier, have to get in communicate, have to communicate to the other team, the whichever the supplier team that is handling this purchasing order at our supplier. I'll have
Mhm.
to reach them out saying that we need this order as soon as possible. We are on top of this order. You need to do like we will have different transportation like terms like freight terms. So like let's say DHL Express is one of the top most preferred option for us when we need the order as soon as possible if we want to expedite order. So that is the best option. DHL Express gives us offer like discounts on our freight terms. Where if it is like shipping through ocean, Kunanagal shipments, and there are a bunch of other which are really good. So like I have to change it because we need the order within the deadline to go ahead with the manufacturing order. Like if the customer pushes the order, it keeps changing. The dynamics of the planning team keeps changing if it is on top. So you'll have to change the freight terms, and it does cost us, but we'll that once we know the cost, we'll reach out to our sales team again forth and back and forth. The sales team approves that if it is in budget, like if it is that is costing, let's say $1,000 add on top of that, and then they are like, okay, that's okay, that's figure out, that can be figured out, that can be covered, that's no big deal, but we need to reach this order, then we're going to change the freight terms. Most of the times if it is an SNOP order, we definitely do it because this shouldn't harm our operations or manufacturing, because if that's going to costing our manufacturing, it's going to be costing here in manufacturing unit, and it's going to be costing even at freight transport, and then it's costing the time as well. So we'll have to trade off one of the other things. In supply chain you will always be trading off that, like
Exactly,
most
yeah.
probably yeah, you'll be
Yeah.
trading off the finance stuff, like because the sales team, it's they're gonna do something about it, like they're gonna crack something else, they wanna like charge something, they make something else the product at the end of the day, but you can't trade off time most probably. So you'll be trading off your budget. So it's like it's pretty hectic thing. So when you forecast, these forecast data are really important. When you forecast about like your analysis are really important, because we definitely send out our forecast reports, because on based on the annual usage or quarterly usage of these products. Let's say if you're purchasing an product, so not product, I mean raw materials for our manufacturing from our supplier. So we do definitely, procurement teams does the forecasting reports, and like these forecasting report shows our annual usage, quarterly usage, or monthly usage. Based on that, we definitely send them a prior notice saying that this is our demand for your next quarter. So this demand has to be met by you. Make sure if they are not meeting, we'll be having like the backup suppliers, the local suppliers. But the thing with them is again the budget. So they're gonna be really expensive. If I'm gonna buy some, let's say I need some rings for our manufacturing team. So if I'm buying rings from Texas, Amos Tools, there is a company called Amos Tools. They sell us rings and like platings. So if I'm gonna buy them from here, it's gonna be like one ring. It's gonna be costing you based on it. It depends on again on the material. We have three different materials that is needed. So they're gonna be cost the $20. If I'm importing it from China or India, a supplier is gonna be sending me a ring, single ring. We're gonna be placing order for 400. It's gonna be costing me like $1,000. Here it's gonna be costing me like $8,000,
Oh,
$10,000. So like sometimes you won't even imagine, like one of the PO it came up to like $25,000. Like that one of my PO, I was like shook. I was like all of a sudden I was in shock. What? I was like really nervous. Did I mess up something? Because the
did I
PO
add another
value
zero
came.
by mistake?
Yeah, I was like I was shook. I just went up to him and like it is coming up to 25,000. Like he was like, what? And like because of inflation, it keeps changing. The prices, like if you release an PO and then your supplier says like because of inflation we have increased this and the, like they make changes every other time. Like your supplier will be like based on transportation, fuel surcharges, freight surcharges, like some other raw material charges, procuring charges, like they'll be adding on top of that. You'll have a lot of bunch of things, and they keep changing your PO values, and then you'll have to update those agreements as well here. So that is really time consuming. Cost is you have to you because you can't always go back to your sales team as well, because you'll have to deal within the team. So you'll have to keep in mind why and what and why are really important for this case scenarios.
Yeah, seems like you've had a very interesting experience at all, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It was like an eye opener for me, environment. It's an amazing journey. There are a lot of things to talk about. I think like we'll be running out of time if we talk. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. So yeah, it's a very important thing that you brought up of trade-off. Everything's planning, you negotiate. It's everything's a
Yeah.
trade-off. It has to be a mutual win-win. And contract drafting also, sometimes I feel you're being very careful to make sure that you're not giving out too much and you're taking as much as you can. When both parties are trying to do the same,
Yeah,
they
you
can
both are.
create
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's it's sometimes it's yeah, there is the ERP, there is supply chain, there is those things to it, but you're also there is another human sitting at the other end. So that negotiation, sometimes you play with the psychology and then it's fun. Sometimes it's very fun.
Yeah, sometimes it's psychology, but sometimes it's like you can't even have time for negotiation. You don't have time for negotiation. You just go with it, because let's say if an order has to be met, it's a important customer order, then you will have to meet it within a deadline. Let's say our supply lead time is 70 days, or let's say air freight supply lead time is 14 days, and you don't have time for it. You can't, like, you just have to lose money on it rather than losing time. So it's really important to have one, like, ample of time rather than like you negotiating. But yeah, but when you are like procuring supplier, like when you are sourcing vendors or suppliers, the top level management, they do consider all this stuff. So they try to build relationship. It in the companies like this, when they are really huge, they are located in multiple locations or multiple countries, they generally don't negotiate much, rather than they have multiple backup suppliers to go back to, and then they just ask, like, they just need the RFQs. They just send out RFQs, multiple RFQs for multiple suppliers at the same time, and they compare what is the quality. Like, they definitely, all these suppliers should have met our standard procedures. Then only they'll be sourced and they'll be managed. So these suppliers will go back to their suppliers, and then once the RFQs have been sent out, you draft, like, RFQs is one different another game like that you play to have a quote from your suppliers. And again, yeah, you can again negotiate based on the like number of orders that you're placing, like the amount of quantity, and that is also there. So they're gonna give you discounts. If it is 100 number of quantities, it's gonna be like price goes by really. Like, if it is just 10, obviously, like, it's gonna be really expensive. So if it is purchase, like, two different orders, again, like purchase to stock, purchase to order. If it is a purchase to stock, you know what is the safety stock, and what is the, like, you can't even buy 100 just because they are like you having a, like, best price. You can't buy 100 because your inventory, you have like concise and confirmed inventory. You just have to stock it there. So it's like, again, the space also like a concern. So it's not just money, it's like every other factors are also important. You'll have to look at that as well. Sometimes why do you want to stock it, like, rather than buying it later? If the annual usage is just 20 per year, then you don't buy 100. Rather, you would just buy 20.
Too much inventory is also a
That's
wastage. Yeah,
yeah, it's yeah, that's way.
yeah, and no, because you've been a buyer. This is my last question to you for the day.
Yeah,
Do you feel that in US people don't negotiate much?
I definitely feel this. And also I have experienced this. The negotiation skill that comes from maybe Asian side is
Yeah,
far more different
yeah,
compared
yeah.
to Europe. And I think even European uh,
Do they negotiate?
negotiators are amazing compared to United States or West. But negotiators from Asian, countries are like on top of the game.
Yeah, they're just
But
wild. Indians, Chinese, I'm
yeah,
not sure.
like
Indians though, they're
whichever the level it is, not just like the companies which are very micromanaged companies, be micromanaged companies or multinational companies, the negotiation is a really different game here. Like the negotiations have a standard set of procedures and they are abide by those rules and regulations. They're like they follow the process and like they are scrutinized by those things, and it's a really different thing. And then here the top level management gets in work with the contract management and negotiation stuff most probably. So as a buyer you won't be negotiating with the like suppliers directly, but sometimes when you are having trouble, as I said, when there are discrepancies in your breakdown of purchase orders or like the amount that have been like incurred for to procure raw materials, then you go back to your suppliers. You have your confined suppliers. Like I will have like bunch of like 6 to 7 suppliers that I'll be dealing with some parts, some procurement raw materials. Like let's say if I'm manufacturing a water bottle, I am procuring the cap, like the plastic that is needed for manufacturing cap. The other buyer will be procuring the plastic that is needed for the water bottle, like the transparent bottle, and the wrapper that is being wrapped around some other buyer is like procuring raw materials for those stuff. So I'll go back to my suppliers definitely to have a word and see what the best can be dealt between us to improve our relationship as well as to negotiate some terms. But it is not back and forth as have seen back in India, or it doesn't go like that here. It's really
yeah, it's
concise to yeah.
very, very different, very different. And yeah, those were about the questions that I had. And from that time, I've been looking at your background. The cap game is just mad. And the books that you have there, yeah, the that's How to
Thank
Make
you.
Friends and Influence People, right? The one that you have there.
Oh, it's not about influencing people. It's just about like having a space that you like.
No, I
It's
meant the
all
book,
it's
the Dale Carnegie book that you have, How to
oh
Make Friends
yeah,
and
yeah,
Influence People.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, did you see this? Okay. Oh
yeah,
yeah. It's an amazing book by the way.
yeah, it's a very
It's a
good book.
great yeah, I think you might have read it. It's really good. I would wanted to read it again, so I had placed it on top of it because I wanted to read it again. It's been a long time, maybe a couple of years down the line I read it. Yeah, so I love to collect books as well as I read books, but lately I haven't got much time to read much of the books. But I definitely love to collect books as well as caps as well. I'm like very much enthusiastic to collect caps. So like
An interesting thing about the book, the How to Influence and Influence People, is when my dad came to Bangalore in the 90s, he purchased
mhm.
that same book from MG Road and he's written Jaidev H. Bangalore 92 and he gave that book to me. So that's like
Oh.
which passed on to me. And yeah, that book's a classic for ages now.
That's really special. I mean, that's really like the same way I got it from my uncle actually.
Oh,
Like
interesting.
yeah, my uncle he read this book and then he suggested you should definitely read this book. Like he has a like hundreds of books in his bookshelves back in India. I mean, I used to stay with him. I used to stay with him, so he has an amazing book collection. So he is a great collector of books and he reads like he's concerned with like so he gave me this book. He told you should definitely read it. Like I think you'll have a great learning from it. I mean, at some point of life, in some point of life, you will definitely see that situations or scenarios where you will be like experiencing this, and then the way of you putting your thoughts or thinking will be a really different in a different way rather than like rest of the other people. It will be really different thing once you start reading. And as people say, like for every experience it changes you and it changes you forever. So this thing changes you how you influence, like how you deal with people and how you communicate, and maybe a lot of things, not just that. It's a good
Yeah,
book, yeah.
yeah, it
I
does.
would definitely suggest it to anyone who would want to start with like some basics. It's a good
Yeah, that's an amazing book. Yeah. And thanks a lot for doing this, Rohit. Thanks a lot for taking the
anytime.
time off.
It was really pleasure having like talking to you. And also congrats on your co-op.
Oh,
I
thank you.
heard you're
Thank you.
doing great. I hope that like experience turns out to be really great.
Yeah, yeah, thank you.
I definitely believe you'll do great. I'm really happy that you're doing podcasts and stuff. I would definitely
It's the guests who
eh,
make it great, buddy. Yeah, it's the guests
eh,
who make it great.
it's amazing. I saw your previous podcast as well. That was really nice. With one of your friend, I guess. That was really the AI in procurement. I didn't know like a couple of stuffs I learned from that one podcast that you did.
Thanks,
That's
man.
good.
Thank you.
That's great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Keep up your work. Keep doing well.
Thanks, man.
We'll
Thanks a
see.
lot. And let's catch up. And guys, before I leave, just one thing. Amongst the people that I know, the most well-dressed guy, anytime I meet him, is Mr. Rohit. I've not told this to him ever, but yeah, the most
Thank
well-dressed
you.
guy. You just see him and
Oh,
you're looking at yourself. I shouldn't have invited this guy. Yeah, the most
thank.
well-dressed guy anywhere.
Oh my God. No, nothing like that. It's just that like it's normal like this. I don't know. Thank you, but I'm gonna be dressing well. Now you have said
Oh, no,
that I
yeah,
should like.
yeah, it's a compliment. Please, yeah.
Thank you so much, Vinay. I mean, I'm impressed by your meme page and all this stuff that you're doing.
Yeah,
You're
thank you, thank
great.
you.
That's great. Thanks for having me. Let's definitely catch up sometime.
Yeah, man.
Well,
See
great
you
time.
soon. Thanks a lot
See
again.
you.